Happy Wednesday, everyone, and welcome to another episode of your favorite real estate podcast, Real Talk Atlanta. We are your hosts. I'm Taisha Renee.
I'm Nika W.
I'm River the Realtor.
And I'm Ashley LeRae.
And every time we are in a new space,
No,
you know I have to highlight
another
it.
one.
Like,
thank you.
We're in another room. If you're not looking on YouTube and you're on Apple Podcasts, switch over to YouTube so you can see our new space. Like, we're just trying some things out. So
and leave the comments because y'all have opinions always.
Yeah.
Right. Bring them in.
We have a new home.
Flow with us. And then, as always, let us know if y'all like this space because we love it.
I'm loving it.
What are y'all laughing at?
Nothing.
I love it. I love the lighting, new space. I love change.
New vibes.
I feel like y'all are coercing the viewers. Just put what y'all think in there and then we'll go off of that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We do miss the table, though. We're wondering, should we get the table again?
I want a table.
I do, too. I vote table. But y'all
we
put
don't
in the
have to.
Leave
comments.
like a little GoFundMe link if y'all want to purchase us a table.
Literally. We keep saying Patreon. We could have had a table through Patreon.
Exactly.
It's okay. So before we get into today's episode, of course, y'all know, peak of the week. We got to hear the good things going on in everybody's life.
Yeah.
So who wants to flex first?
Oh, pick me.
I like that.
Because it's basically a flex. Like,
It is.
Yeah.
And it's nothing humble about this flex.
Period.
Oh,
Okay.
Y'all, my peak of the week is that I just launched the second cohort of my
You
mentorship
did?
program.
Congratulations.
I'm joining.
Thank you.
Let's cheers to that.
Cheers to that.
And we
The
got our
first
champagne.
one was fire, y'all. I feel like it was everything I could have imagined, but this second one, it's like the first one revamped into something even greater. So I'm excited. I already have more applicants than seats available, and we've only launched for like about a week and a half. So,
Is there still time for me to
yes,
apply?
applications close September 22nd, but for everyone who doesn't like get a seat, I have something super, super fire dropping for y'all. So
Yay.
yes, remember the real, so I'm on
Period.
one.
But by
I
the
love
time this
it.
drop, the applications will be closed. So
Yeah.
don't even go look for them.
Oh, well. Next one.
Definitely check it
Next
out.
one.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
For me, my peak of the week has been just investing in myself, spending time with myself.
Yoga classes.
Yoga.
She
I
going to
love
yoga for free on everybody's account.
Yeah. If
feeling
Nika had your
the-
email,
I'm
she
feeling the-
might have been at yoga with your
I
name.
might just sign up for free. But I love it. It's just a new space. Being that I was so busy the beginning of the year, it's just like now spending time with myself. I'm like, oh my God, I have time.
Yeah,
I like
that's
it.
nice.
Yeah. So that's my
That freedom. That's what we started
Girl.
this for.
Right.
To have that freedom.
And I still feel like I'm
A slave.
in
Shackled up.
bondage.
In shackles. What about you, Ashley?
For me, I'm super excited, but also tired.
Yeah.
I got 5 clients pre-approved yesterday.
Period.
And they all literally like want to dive in and start home shopping this weekend. I'm like,
As
y'all.
they should.
As they should. But
Don't
I'm also
wait.
like,
Ready, willing, and able.
yeah. But I'm also one person. I can't be at 5 houses at one time.
Okay, you need a
So-
team.
No, yeah, I've been considering it, and that's just like crazy.
If you
to
think you'd
even
make a
think
good
about.
assistant for Ashley, let's DM her. Share your resume. Tell us why you're qualified. We'll interview and we'll get you an assistant.
Yeah,
sister.
that would be nice. I'm excited for that. Like literally, as soon as we wrap the cameras, stop rolling, I'm headed out to showing. So,
Period.
it's a
And
bed.
that's working hard. In this
Yeah.
market,
yeah.
cheers to
You
you.
have
Truth
to.
is, I'm tired. But I'm excited.
Okay, what about you?
I would say my peak of the week, and y'all know I always got a thing because I don't know. I think my peak of the week, I would say, I'm going to take it personal too. Y'all know how I was mentioning like early on in the year, how like this year is committed to like discipline, paying down debts, all this good stuff. So I recently just paid off my little not my last phone debt, but like the debt.
You about to be
Yeah.
debt free.
That's
So
good.
That's
I'm
great.
basically debt free. Aside from my car.
No DTI.
Aside from my car and the house. But other than that, like I'm just happy to be
Girl.
that I've been like saving and really like spending money where it needs to spend.
Yeah.
So
Your
So
debts
come
my
over.
discipline is the peak of the week.
That's good.
I need
Your
to
debts
come
are
over
in your
and get some
assets.
discipline.
I need that too. You need a course on that, a cohort on
Oh,
that.
I can't teach that, baby.
period.
When I went to
Really think
Europe, I'm
about it.
still paying.
That's funny.
I know that's right. Well, let's jump into today's episode. So, if you haven't done so already, you know that when you purchase a home, there are a lot of legal and contractual duties that you are held to from the moment that you sign that under contract, that sign that deal. Like, you have things that you need to keep in mind. So we're going to kind of walk you through some of the key documents that every deal, every real estate transaction will most likely see, and just kind of break down the important things that you all need to know as a buyer. Even if you're a new agent, you're kind of not familiar, this can kind of help you as well.
Yeah.
Right.
So most important is that purchase and sale
That purchase and
agreement.
sale.
That's
Come
the
on.
meat and potatoes
That's
right
the
there.
deal.
Yeah, that is the
The
meat and
deal.
the potatoes.
How do you explain it to your client? Like, literally like that, the meat and potatoes?
Well, all I say is like, this is the offer. Because a lot of people, they wonder, okay, like, what is the offer? The offer is the contract, right? We have to put everything in writing. And I feel like with a lot of clients, well, I would say some clients, even when you educate them on the severity of that purchase and sale, they kind of like think it's something that they can take lightly, but it's not. It's not. Everything that's on that paper, you have to do. You have to complete. You have to, that's pretty much how the deal is going to go through. So if you fill it out incorrectly, if you miss something, even a period, instead of putting $7, you put 7,000. Now you have to go by 7,000.
Let's talk about that.
So I feel like the purchasing says like the main contract, that main exhibit that you need. That's going to highlight everything, all the terms of the offer.
I think it's important to note that the purchase and sale pretty much outlines the deal, right? What you're going to pay, when you're going to close, how much of a deposit you're going to put down. It's really the document that talks about your finances, how much you're giving up for the deal, and essentially what you're getting for your money. So I think everything is outlined in the purchase and sale agreement. And I think the biggest part of that is like understanding that if you breach that contract, if you don't go in alignment with what you've already signed off on, you have now been in breach of the entire contract, the entire deal, and you have liabilities as a buyer who signed that legally binding document.
I think a lot of our clients, especially the first-time home buyers, a lot of people have never really had to deal with legal contracts. Like they may have never had an attorney for anything. So I think that's why a lot of people might not take it seriously, but this is a legally binding contract. We have attorneys in place who are kind of managing this document, including ourselves.
Right.
And it's super important. And I think a good thing to note it too, I was just on the phone with the client before we started recording, is that there's different purchase and sales. Like, of course, we have ours, like the GAR or the Georgia Realtor forms that we use. But for instance, like if you want a new construction home, their purchase and sale contracts may look a little different. So that's important. And the terms could be different too.
For sure.
And also they have the investor contracts, the ones that they use that they typed up themselves. So you have, seriously.
Like, you got to read those.
You do have to read those. And sometimes they're very simple, which could be a good or a bad thing. Well, I'll say more of a bad thing than a good thing because it's not as specific as those GAR forms. Like the GAR forms, you have the place where you actually input the information, but also there are a lot of pages where they outline every single situation.
That's literally what I was about to say.
And that's why it's so important for your realtor to know your contract, but also for you to review that contract after I've explained it to you.
Signing something and not knowing what you signed is like crazy. Why would you sign that contract and not ask your agent, like, what does this mean? Or I didn't know I had to do this. Why didn't you? Like, how do you do that? Like when I run into people who purchase homes and then they say things like, oh, I didn't know I would be liable for this. How you didn't know that? Like you signed this form.
Your name's right there.
I think understanding is like the biggest thing. So I think kind of like sitting down, understanding, okay, I see this is the dollar amount, but what does that actually mean in terms of what I'm signing? Okay, I see it says I need to do this in X amount of days. What does that mean? And what happens if I don't do those things?
Right. And that's the difference, because I know in different states, the contracts are different. So like it's crazy that in New York, attorneys are handling this. Like the realtors don't even like look at the contracts.
Interesting.
In South Carolina, it's like one page. There's not a lot of information, right? But in Georgia, the purchase and sale itself is 8 pages. And literally the first page really has all the intricate details, as well as that last page if you're adding any special stipulations, including what documents you're going to be including. But the meat and potatoes in the middle, pages 2 through 7, don't just breeze by them, because it literally says, like, when we go through each part of the purchase and sale, your due diligence is, well, not your due diligence, your earnest money. You have to pay this in a certain amount of days. It tells you in the event that you don't pay this in X amount of days, this is what happens. Either the seller is liable for something or the buyer is liable for something. It tells you, it breaks it down what exactly is going on. And I think as a first-time home buyer, it's important to have your realtor to break that down to you, because I feel like a lot of times they just go through that first page, and even if you don't break it down to your client as a realtor, you just need to know.
Right.
Because if you don't know what's going on in this contract, even if your client doesn't know, like, you still need to be, during that deal, keeping track of everything. Like, did you pay your earnest money here? The due diligence is now, or like, are you comfortable? Do you not want to move forward? So keeping those things in mind.
And I think clients have to realize too, like, I think you made up a good point. Like in Georgia, we as your realtors protect your best interests. Like I'm licensed in Illinois as well. And it's kind of different, right? On our transactions, you have a buyer's attorney, you have a seller's attorney. So in Chicago, when I'm doing deals, like my clients don't necessarily lean on me for a lot of those contractual obligations because they have their own personal attorneys. Because it's not like that here in Georgia and the attorney represents the lender. If you have a contractual obligation or a contractual issue that you need solved, you have to go to your realtors. And I think people shy away from that because they think like, oh, a realtor's job is to sell me the home, to show me the home, and to do everything that deals with the home, not the paperwork. No. In the state of Georgia, the person that protects your best interest is your realtor. And thus, if you have a contractual issue or a contractual obligation that you need to understand, you have to ask your realtor. If you're a realtor, you don't know it, get a new job.
Seriously, because I think it's absurd that you don't know what you've put on that paper. A lot of people, they're like, okay, so who set the terms? As a buyer's agent, you set the terms.
Literally.
So, yes, I do set calendar invites for my clients, but I know what date I put on that paper. So I remember everything. But also, if your agent does not know their market, they don't know what to offer on that purchase and sale, which I think is very important to know. Like, it's very, like, you're doing a disservice. And if you put the wrong thing on that offer and you filled it out wrong, then they're already, like, the sales agent is already going to pick up on the knowledge that you have.
And they're going to know, like, some sales agents, they will help you.
No, for sure.
Agent, if you don't know. And some sales agents be like, listen, this person don't know what they're doing, so we're going to ride it out.
They will take advantage.
We're going to eat.
I think you brought up a good point with that period versus comma, because that happened to me in my very first brokerage with someone else. There was a purchase price. It was $300,000, and she put $3 million.
Whoa.
Literally, when we did like our little mentor session, like he made an example of her. He's like, I'm not trying to embarrass you, but let's be honest, right? If you would have submitted this $3 million purchase and sale agreement on a $300,000 home, and you had already signed it, your client signed it, you sent it in, let's say the seller signed it, guess who owes $3 million? Your client, who's probably...
That finance
if you buy a house for $300,000, it ain't gonna go. But I mean, it's just the point. Like you wrote it, and something as simple as adding an extra zero or putting a comma where a period can go. Like you're now stuck in a space that you can't. You wrote a check that you really can't get.
It really shows your professionalism, because why didn't you review it before sending it?
It's a lot of money on the line for these deals, and it's not your money. I would feel so bad if I made a mistake and now my client has to pay for it.
So what are the main things that you guys show your clients not to overlook on a purchase and sale? So as a new buyer right now, what would you tell on that purchase and sale things that you should not overlook on that paper?
Sales price, earnest money, due diligence, finance and appraisal contingency. Hell, even
sales contribution to closing. Who's the closing attorney?
My first point of reference is breach of contract. Understanding that if there's a section in that 2 through 7, all the fluff that people don't like to read, that says, if you are in breach of this contract, there are certain rights, there are certain monetary issues that you're going to have to solve as a buyer. Meaning, again, if you wake up as a buyer and say stuff like, the Lord told me that I don't need this house anymore.
That's a real thing that happens.
Well, the Lord put in that contract that you now are still financially obligated. You might have to pay commissions out. You might have to lose your earnest money. There's a lot of things. So I always make sure people understand.
Due diligence now.
Yeah, like unless obviously there are certain things, but if you breach the contract, right? Due diligence is not breaching. Breaching means you're going against direct things that are in the contract, and I always point that out first. Understand that once we submit this, if you breach this contract, you are still going to be liable for X, Y, and Z. So do you want to move forward?
Right. And for me, and those, it's pretty much for realtors, but that address, the first literal line on that contract, you put the wrong address, you put the wrong...
I don't play about the date either.
Okay, that date
changes things.
And all of that stuff. It's a whole new contract. It's a whole new deal. It could be as simple as that, like the address. Or I remember on my last listing, we didn't know. I didn't even know this. It had a different parcel. Like the side of the house was a different parcel ID than the actual house. So it's like, let's say we was going through and nobody double checked it. That buyer would have just purchased the house in that other parcel land. My client would have still owned it. So things like that is very, very important. That just happened to me too. To not overlook.
That's very important, because I went under contract on a townhome, and it was one of those where, some townhomes, all the units have the same address and it's just a different unit number. So the listing agent just put the full address. I'm like, no, you need to specify which unit are we purchasing.
Because girl, you just got the whole community.
The whole block.
Not my house.
It's important.
Now let's go into the next document. Let's go into the finance contingency. I kind of feel like that flows off of it, where your finance contingency, depending on your loan type, so if you're VA, if you're conventional or FHA, you all have different financial contingency documents. So like one difference between the two. So like FHA and VA, for FHA, you don't have an appraisal contingency. Like whenever you get the appraisal, whenever it comes in. If it's low, you negotiate it. But conventional, you have a set amount of days that if the appraisal doesn't come in this 12 days, then you need to either extend or you're just going to buy it at whatever, whatever it appraises at. So knowing the differences based on whatever your financing is and knowing the contingencies in that specific loan type is going to be important.
Yeah, I think contingencies really are about deadlines. And just kind of like to reemphasize what she's saying, it's not that as an FHA buyer, you don't have an appraisal contingency. It's just that you're not restricted by a date.
Yeah.
So you don't have to have the appraisal within a set amount of days. As long as you get it before the deal, you have room to negotiate it. And it says in there, like, once it comes, you get X amount of days to either come up to an agreement or terminate with no bias against the buyer. So I think understanding like what those parameters are, because again, if you have a 14-day period of time where it's like you got to get the appraisal and get this done, if that appraisal comes on day 15 and is low, guess what? Too bad, so bad. You're going to have to go to your nearest Wells Fargo, get a personal check, and write the difference for that payment, right? Those kind of things protect you from either having to come out of your pocket in excess of money or just doing something that you probably would not want to do or cannot afford to do. So I think paying attention to the dates on the finance contingency is probably like the most important thing, because again, once you miss the date, a seller is not obligated to be like, oh, you made a mistake, like, I'll look out for you. They're going to be
absolutely not.
It was
waiting for you at the door.
Yeah. And they'll pick on you too if they see your license number. They see, oh, you young.
Yeah.
You vibrant. You think you making money.
You think it's sweet.
Oh, okay. I'm going to really show you. Like, people really be out for blood. Like,
No, that's why it's important to the date also, because of course finance or any contingencies go by the date. And I don't know about you guys, all of my contracts, I put a stipulation. Contingencies are to end weekdays, 11:59. If it's a holiday, whatever it is, it'll start.
Don't accept that though.
Well, too bad. I'm putting it in there anyway.
No, seriously.
Like, no, because those deadlines are super important. I always describe it to my clients like after your due diligence, it's kind of like another get out of jail free card almost, if anything were to happen. If the appraisal comes back low, if the lender's not able to fund your loan, that still protects your earnest money.
Absolutely.
So it's important.
And on that day, it's very critical. On that last 15th day.
Okay. I call Linda like,
6 p.m.
What's going on? We looking good. We good to go. Everything looking good.
Let me tell y'all something about me. I'm going to terminate before I lose y'all money.
Period.
Okay.
If
We'll let this
it's
deal go.
5:30 and due diligence ends at 11:59, and not due diligence, if like your finance, something ends, and I'm just not 100% certain, we're terminating.
Or
Well, we
extend
just
it.
reinstate.
But you know,
Just
sometimes they
reinstate.
don't like to extend. Like, I feel like some sellers really or sellers agents rather, they will sometimes really try to get in the thick of it with you. Oh no, it ends tonight. And me, before I put myself in that predicament, we'll terminate. They don't want to terminate though, for real. But like, they'll say that to try to get you to agree to something. I think for agents, y'all can't take on that pressure. If a seller's agent is trying to pressure you into making a rash decision without the stuff you need, terminate that deal. There are more houses out here, but you don't want to have to owe nobody no earnest money because you made a bad decision. Like, don't let nobody pressure y'all into making bad choices for your clients when you know what to do.
And you know, my tip for that too, I usually just have the lender like, hey, go ahead and call the agent and let them know this extension. I don't even do it myself now. I was like, you know what? Just go ahead. We already have a thread going. Go ahead and reply and say we need a little extension. I'll just draft and send it, because they're not going to say no to the lender, especially when the lender is going to explain why we need that extension. So yeah, I just let the lender do it now.
Then I call like I know. Oh, I just spoke to you.
I just found out.
I just sent it for signature. Absolutely.
No, the seller agents are watching this right now. They are pissed.
Right. But sellers will ask that if you need an extension. Why do you need an extension? What
I don't know.
What's going
Call the
on?
lender.
Yeah, that's the lender's job.
Look, I'm just finding out when you found out. I don't know
And that's
what's
why
going
it's
on.
important for to have good partners, because the lender should be communicating with them anyway.
Right.
Throughout the more comfortable your lender makes the selling agent, the more comfortable that seller's going to be. If you do need that extension, they're going to be more comfortable because your lender has been communicating with them. They know exactly what's going on.
And most lenders are very good with their words.
Yeah.
They can explain it way
Shout out to
better.
Bill, because I'd be like,
We just need to extend. I'm not really sure what's going on.
Yeah.
Right. You have to be sure. And another thing that's very important with the financing contingency is those minimal payments that the sellers like. So in the finance contingency, right, there are portions where if that loan type is requiring certain repairs, then you can put what the sellers is required to pay. Now, and that part I really advise, like based on my experience, not to be really cheap, right? Because if you put, okay, the seller's only required to pay $500 for FHA repairs, that's all they're really
gonna do.
about to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
But also, we never know what those repairs are going to be. So you
Very
also,
true.
yeah, you have to like over
Because anything over the 500, the buyer is going to
the
be
buyer is
responsible.
going to have
Exactly.
to pay.
I think just to like break that down a little bit without going too deep, you got to understand that there's a difference between inspection and like repairs you request on an inspection and then what you request on an appraisal, right? FHA and VA specifically, there might be very specific things that they don't accept. The one that always gets me is chipping, peeling paint. So if you have a windowsill and the paint is a little chipped up, when your appraisal comes, they're going to be like, oh no, this has to be fixed per
What's
the
that
VA.
called?
Or per FHA. And so in your finance exhibit, there is a portion that says how much money would you want the seller to contribute if something comes up from the VA or from FHA on an appraisal. And for me, I try to go and like when I'm at the showing, I know those guidelines back and forth. So if my client is FHA, I already know
No, this is going to pop up.
I know chip and paint. I know deck stuff, wood rot, termite. You can't. I go in there and I'm doing price sheets. Okay, FHA not gonna do that. They're not gonna do that. They're not gonna do that. And when I do my offer, I kind of tally that number up so I know that if these do come up, they have to pay for it. So I think that's very important to go in and understand. Like there are certain things that you're gonna have to be required to pay, and in that finance exhibit, when you draft up your offer, you ask them for how much money you need to make those repairs happen.
I was thinking of lead-based paint. That's what I was thinking.
Oh, no. Just the chipping. I mean, some
Just chips,
super small. So.
Yeah.
Y'all know what I
small
always bring
stuff
up.
too. Because you don't want to have to go to appraisal and they go there. They're like, oh, we have to come back and re-inspect. But because that's an additional money.
Yep.
Apart from that $600 that you already paid for the appraisal.
Y'all know what I
So
always
go ahead
bring
and do
up.
the work. Go ahead.
door.
That bathroom handle. FHA would not close that deal.
She has PTSD.
Yes.
from
I
this.
almost drove out and fixed the handle myself. But again, with
You might as
some
well have.
loans,
You might as well have.
I should have. But also with some loans, they require that the seller makes those
Yeah,
changes.
they're very strict on that.
Yeah,
Yep.
they're strict about stuff like that.
I think that's a good transition into the seller's property disclosure.
Oh,
When you have
girl.
these
Yes.
things going on in the house, like the seller's property disclosure is for the seller to literally break down anything that they have knowledge of, any major defects that may be in the home while they have occupied that unit. And sometimes if it's investors, they try to get away with it, like
Never
investor
occupied.
owned,
Yeah, investor
Never
never occupied.
No, let me get the latent defect. There's another one that they
Yes,
can
another one for the
see
investor.
for
Mhm.
investors. So make sure you get that. So with the seller's property disclosure, I always look at what they're checking as yes. Like if you've made any updates to this, if you got a new HVAC or if something happened with the roof, I need to know why. Was it replaced or what happened? So we know moving forward, I can note it to the inspector, honestly.
For
Like,
sure.
This is on
I
here.
describe it as like Carfax, but for your house.
Yes,
basically.
that's literally what it is.
You need to
That's
see the
literally what it is.
history because on it will also tell you like if they made any changes or if there's an issue, what year was it replaced. And if there's ever something on the seller's property disclosure, it's always a good idea to ask the seller for a receipt to show that it was done, who the contractor was, maybe even how much they paid. You have to know these things, especially like what if they got it fixed, but it wasn't by someone who was a licensed contractor.
Okay, and
then what?
Let's talk about it real quick. We're in Atlanta. Okay, we're in the home of Scamlanta. We are amongst the group of people who like to buy low, renovate, and I think that's great. If you walk into a home that was built in 1920 but has a stainless steel refrigerator, we can automatically assume that it has been upgraded at some point in time. In which you need to be asking for permits because I'm telling you right now, it's starting to get crazy. I have seen too many instances of these like newly remodeled, fresh paint.
Why is a garage a bedroom now? Who did this?
Where is your permit? Okay, because this is the thing. Y'all think it's sweet, and once you buy that home, that issue now is on you.
It's on you.
So
Now
the
you
city
can't
might
sell.
not have caught it when you bought it. But now you're trying to sell it, and the city like, well, babe, why is the garage your master bedroom? And you're like, oh, no, it was like this when you bought it. And they're like, well, you better find who you bought it from. Like, y'all have to stop playing crazy to like things that we don't see. And that's what that seller's property disclosure is for. Like, if you see something on there and it's a part on there that asks, is there any unpermitted work? And they say no, ask for the permit. If they can't,
if there's many changes,
if they can't see it, they've now lied on the legally binded document. Like protect yourself and protect your client at all times because that seller's property disclosure literally can be the difference between you buying a home that's going to blow over in the next rainstorm and you like catching it before you like financially become obligated to that house.
Right. I think the thing
for
that
y'all.
people mostly miss on that seller's property disclosure is those appliances. They automatically think, I went to go see this house, the fridge is there, the washer and dryer is there, the dishwasher is there. However, did the seller check off that they're leaving this with you?
Of course
From
he didn't.
light fixtures to mirrors to security cameras, they have to check it off that this is being, what is it?
conveyed with the
conveyed
home.
with the
with the
property.
property. So if it's not checked off, if they have a fridge in there, but it's not checked off on that seller's property disclosure, then the fridge is not yours.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this real quick for other states. This really for Illinois. In Illinois, the appliance portion is in the purchase and sale agreement. Meaning that when I, as a buyer's agent, fill out, a property, I'm checking
What you
I
want.
What you want.
When I submit it
what
to
you
the
want.
but look, when I send it to the seller, they might erase it. They might do this, or they might add something in there that was never in the home. So I was sold a property from my mom, and this was like early on in my career in Illinois. There's no refrigerator in this house. This is just a house that we happen to own by way of, I don't know. She checks refrigerator 2 days before closing. She like, where the fridge? I said, babe, there was no fridge when you came. There's not going to be a fridge now. Well, I put in the offer that there needs to be a fridge.
That doesn't mean it.
So I say that to say in states where, the property disclosure and the appliance that will convey with the property is not just on you as a seller to do, make sure y'all are going back and rereading that and ensuring like everything that they checked off, you do want to give them. Because if they check off washer, dryer, or they even write in touch screen LG refrigerator and you sign off on it, guess who got to buy a touch screen LG refrigerator?
So you had to get the fridge. I had to get the fridge.
Oh, me? No, that's never going to happen. I don't play like that, but somebody else, y'all might have to.
It's crazy.
That's why y'all can't play with me. I literally told that lady, like, girl, you're not getting a fridge.
Yeah,
and
it's
my
not
mama is
happening.
worse than me. She was like, I'll terminate this deal right now because you're playing too much.
Right,
But
right.
it could happen, and I think it's an
Yeah.
expensive mistake.
After the
for sure.
purchase and sale, I think the SPD is like one of the most important documents, and a lot of listing agents try to be slick and not put it with the listing when you submitting the offer and trying to submit it 24 hours. Because it just happened to me that the seller on one of my deals have the solar panels and the HVAC was on a lease on the home, but they put it in the SPD. But throughout the contract, we passed due diligence. I'm asking for the SPD. She's on vacation. Oh, I don't have
They
it. I don't
always
have
on
it. I don't have it.
vacation.
Right. So then now she's like, oh, also, we need to do an amendment for you for the lease to transfer to your client. It's only $200 a month
For the HVAC?
for the solar panels.
Girl,
and the
get somebody,
HVAC.
take your
I'm
solar panel
like,
with
do
you.
you know that's
Please.
like they have to add it? The lender have to add that to the DTI, and also we not doing that.
They didn't ask for those solar
We
panels
didn't
or
ask
that
for that.
HVAC.
So
Get your solar panels.
Right.
And get out.
Yeah.
so you trying to? She was like, oh, it was in the SPD. Yeah, you disclosed it, but that doesn't mean that we have to
Pay for it.
Pay for it.
Yeah.
Come to find out, there's a lien on the property for both of those things.
They haven't been
So
paying
either
for it?
way, you gotta pay.
Wow.
We can't.
Y'all
close.
scam so bad. Y'all should really
Yeah.
be ashamed
That's
of yourselves.
concerning.
Like,
That's
I'm
concerning.
going to tell y'all where y'all going.
Not
To
today.
HE
Not today.
double L. I got a quick story about the SPD too, because I went under contract recently on a new construction. It looks so pretty on the inside. But I was like, just wait. Like, it's nice. I didn't even post it,
I
talk
know
about
it
it.
is.
I said, let's just wait till that inspection come back. Because I just got a feeling it was by one of those like private builders, like local builders, rather than one of the big ones. So we got the inspection back. Shout out to Craig because
He don't play.
yeah,
Man,
he
what?
does not
Every little thing.
play. When I tell you on the inspection report, he literally said like, we need to ask the builder, whoever this builder is, who has this LLC and just hired some contractors to put this property up. You need to ask them for some permits because there was a lot of stuff that wasn't even up to code. Like
Not
they had,
permits?
what do you
Ask
call
for
those?
the
Like
permit.
plugs next to the shower and like
Oh,
stuff that didn't
no.
even make sense. Like this whole house is a hazard.
House is going to
And
catch on fire for
yeah. And the SPD really didn't. Of course, it's a new construction, so I think that
They
was
don't
like
really
their
have one,
getaway.
Yeah.
But like nothing was adding up. And literally the listing agent after we terminated was like, we're going to hire our own inspector because the builder just doesn't agree with what's on your inspection.
Girl, you should have been
I'm
there.
like,
They should have been there.
yeah, the
The
code
city
is the
should have
code.
inspected
You just
that.
told on yourself.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
What you mean you just now hiring an inspector?
Right.
The house is done. What's going on?
Contractors,
the
if y'all
contract
are
on
looking.
that?
No.
No, she told
I mean, I
me.
sent that unilateral so quick and we were
Yeah.
comfortable with walking away because
Yeah,
we know
As you should.
we're like, she's not conveying any of those issues, you know?
If you're a
It's
contractor or
mess.
developer in Atlanta and you are looking for an agent who can properly assess your property before putting it on the market, call one of us because y'all are crazy. I'm not
Yeah.
even listing a property that looks like that. That's never going to
Right.
happen.
Imagine getting out the shower and like getting electrocuted because why is the
Just
plug
watch that
right here?
Madea movie where
That's
she dropped that
insane.
radio.
Right.
Yeah, that's
In the
exactly
thing.
like by code. It's supposed to be at least 3 feet away. Even like it was so much.
Not
I
you,
gotta
not
show
you
it to
know
y'all.
the
Come
Oh, I
on,
know it
come
now.
on, babe, I got it. I love it.
Y'all are
Well, let's go
funny.
into our last document, which is really dependent upon if your community is in an HOA community, and that is the Community Association Disclosure. which basically is going to outline all the details for your HOA, how much it is per month, how much it is per year, the information to contact them, if it's mandatory to be in it, in order to transfer the details into your name, the fees that are associated with that. Anything associated with the HOA is going to be covered in this document.
That's a good way for the sellers to get tripped up, because if they put anything that's incorrect on the community association disclosure, they have to pay for that.
Okay.
I think it happens a lot with a transfer fee, right? So transfer meaning like if I own this property and now I'm transferring it into, the new owner's name, what's that fee associated? A lot of people are like, oh, I don't know, just put zero. Okay, well, now we're at close and transfer fee is $5,000. And
So
they're
now
looking
you're
at
gonna
you
pay
as the
for
buyer.
it.
Oh, no, baby, you put zero.
Right.
So I'm going to pay zero. You pay the $5,000 out of your proceeds. I think the biggest thing about that is just reading.
Yeah.
Reading and understanding and not assuming. Like, even on townhomes, I think it's automatically assumed. Like, oh, this is the townhouse. They're going to take care of the lawn. They're going to take care
Are
of
they?
this.
Yeah, are they? That's a good question.
They probably won't. Yeah.
You
Shout
might
out
want to check it. Check
Shout
it
out
out.
to the great Tiffany Halls, because
We love her.
her-
Get a holiday.
listen,
A street.
for the transfer fees, listing agents, go ahead and put a great amount in there. If you don't know, because sometimes these HOA don't be answering the phone.
Right.
At
Yeah.
all.
And that's just the truth of it. Go ahead and just put a really good number, 5,000. Now that you say 5,000.
5,000, because it may not
And
be
if
that
it's
much.
less at the closing table, then the buyer's just gonna pay. But if you don't put anything, then you're liable.
I think a lot of like sellers, when you send them the community association disclosure,
They
a
get
lot of
overwhelmed.
times they get overwhelmed, and a lot of times they're like, oh, I think I pay this much. I've been living here for this long, like 10 years. I think I pay this much. I'm like, that's great you think that, but things change. HOAs change stuff all the time. Give them a call or email them and find out if there's any updated information on there.
Do your
I
due
called
diligence as an
HOA
agent.
myself.
Yeah,
because-
call
For
them.
sure.
I usually will, if I have a seller who I'm working with, I don't mind going to the house and sitting there and walking you through it. Because like I said, if you put anything wrong on here, you have to pay.
It's
Yeah.
on you, Craig.
I put it in my email. Make sure it's thorough. Call the HOA.
Call
Nah,
them.
yeah.
But yeah, so if you're in an HOA community, make sure that you review that document, see what the HOA covers, read the covenants and the bylaws. Because
CC
that
and
really
ours.
breaks down everything you need
No,
to
can
know.
I say something about that real quick?
Yeah.
I literally just got out of a $3,500 back HOA fees because I'm not gonna say I didn't read the covenants and restrictions. I'm gonna say I didn't respect them. And that cost me $3,500, in which I had to pay, or they was gonna put a lien on my house. It's about
Oh my
parking. Y'all
gosh.
know.
Oh, yeah.
Really? They was about to put a lien?
They said,
No,
ma'am,
seriously, they do.
you're
do
a
that.
realtor, so we really not about to play with you. You know
Yeah,
what's
why you
going
acting
on
like
here.
I just got that too. They're about to put a lien
I
on
don't
mine, too.
respect what's in the covenants and restrictions, and that's why
That's
I
a
was not
strict
listening.
HOA.
Oh, girl, they
No,
been playing.
When we go to
It was
River's
only
house, I try to be the
$300.
first one there.
No, if you come to my house, you gotta be the first one. 'Cause
Yeah.
out
I
in the
need a
middle
place
of the
to
street, it's
park.
$150 fine. Y'all know I always get people at my house.
Okay.
Sunday dinner, this $3,500 for the
Wow.
garbage can and for parking.
Oh, yeah,
And the
All
last
you
day
gotta do
shift.
is pull that garbage can back in.
Yeah.
Well, I bet you
I'm
pull
a
it out.
lady. My man do that. Hey, boo.
It was so funny. I had a closing last week, and the attorney gave us like a copy of all the bylaws and stuff. Y'all, it was the biggest binder.
It's
He
thick.
was like, "Oh,
Read it.
no." He's
Well,
like,
just look
"Why
at the
is it so
section. They have
thick?"
this section off. I go to the part that I need to see. What I need
Yeah.
to see. This is
Yeah.
what I need to
Read
know
it.
right here.
Yeah, read it.
But yes, guys, those are 4 of the documents that are most commonly used in all real estate transactions. So if you're a buyer, make sure that your agent is thoroughly reviewing these with you. And if you're an agent, make sure you have thoroughly reviewed the contract and you know
Study
exactly
it.
Study
what's
it.
outlined in it and to protect your client, whether on the buying or selling side.
And every year too, because the contracts change.
Yeah, they change every year. So you should be taking classes. And if
Yeah.
you're not,
Maybe we
I'm
should do a
concerned.
2024
Not send me a
contract class.
2021 guard form.
Okay, that's what it's
Hello, update your forms.
Pay the association.
board,
so you
yeah.
can
It's
do it.
almost
the people
due.
who don't join the
It's
Oh
almost
yeah,
due.
it's due October 1st.
October
Sure
1st.
is.
Realtors pay y'all. It's,
They
Pay
offer
your
payment
fees,
plans if you need
reminder.
it.
yeah.
Oh, payment plan ended on 30th
The
of
30th.
It
September.
Oh,
did.
it do? Oh,
Yeah.
The end of this month.
So y'all
yeah.
need to pay because I know y'all did it.
Yeah.
I did. So
So
let's go
funny.
into our favorite part of the day. Question
What
of
is it?
the
Get
day.
my drink.
With Ashley
With Ashley
Lorraine.
Lorraine.
So yes, if this is your first time tuning into our show, we have this segment called the Question of the Day, where we take questions from you guys, our audience. Feel free to submit your questions to us on Instagram at Real Talk Atlanta, or shoot us an email at realtalkatlpod@gmail.com. So today's question did not come from one of our audience members.
We did not ask for questions from you.
Well,
Right.
I came up with this question. I had a glass of wine. I think I may
Oh,
have even been
God.
on the
Look at my
phone with
face.
Nika. And the thoughts just started flowing, y'all.
Okay.
So I got questions.
Drop up.
Don't make it too controversial because we already in trouble.
What's the question?
The question is, okay, so let's say none of us had our real estate license.
Okay.
And you wanted to buy a house.
Mm-hmm.
Out of the four of us, what agent you choosing to work with?
That's messy.
That's so messy.
I'm going to interview each of you. ladies.
No, listen.
Oh, that's a good answer.
That's a good
I'm
one.
going to interview each of you ladies, and
choose
whoever
then.
I think I click with the best as far as personality,
wow.
who
You
can
have to
offer me
choose.
what I need.
Aisha
is
always
who
take
I'm
the
going
easy
to
route.
select.
That's all I
Yeah,
like
she
about her.
always do the
You won't
easy
get
route.
me. You won't get me.
Because we're gonna text us like, so you didn't pick me,
Right.
and
And they know how they are.
you're
They'll be
cut
feeling
off.
some type of way.
River
Yeah,
will
you
leave
know,
the
I'm
group.
not playing with her today.
So,
River's
stop putting my
JT of
business
the
out.
group. If you don't say River, she can be like, oh, and she ain't want to work with me if she wasn't an agent. We're
No,
not
she'll
talking
just
about-
leave the group and never talk
Yeah.
to us again.
Honestly, here's the thing. No, I will lead a group because I know my worth. And honestly, they don't call me Miss 10 Million for nothing, baby. What I do is what I do.
Period.
So if you don't want to get on this train, you're going to get ran over. And that's all I got to say.
So who
But no,
you
who would I
picking?
pick?
Yeah, who would you pick?
I'm always
Be
there.
honest.
It's hard because I feel like I know y'all as humans.
Mhm.
And so humanly, I know who I'm not picking.
Oh, God.
Because I know how we about to be fighting and scrapping at them houses. Honestly, if I had to choose from a realtor perspective, I probably would choose Taisha. Because I feel like Taisha is like, in terms of how I do business, Taisha's very cut and dry. Let's leave the chummy out. And how I am, I just need the whatever. But
Get to the
I
point.
feel like if I was like a first time buyer and all this, I would probably say Nika, because Nika is going to go overboard every time.
Yeah,
Like,
for
would you like me to pick
sure.
you up for the showings? Would you like a breakfast
For
bagel?
sure.
Like, and yes, I would. I absolutely would. And I probably would say that. Me and Ashley probably, I think we would start fighting. But Ashley
If
gonna
you were my
find
client,
me. It's me. If it was actually me, though.
it is gonna be you.
See, if I didn't know her, then me and Ashley would probably be shopping, spending money, like.
Going to
Yeah.
brunch.
But yeah, me and Ashley probably be like this as a client. and
Yeah.
agent.
That's a hard
That's a
question,
good
y'all.
one.
I was gonna
This a
choose
hard
Nika
question.
too.
This is a messy question.
For the
and you know
Nika W
Ashley is messy
experience.
boots
Yeah, it's an
anyway.
experience.
No, to me, for me, you ladies are great realtors.
But
But I ain't
great
working with you.
realtors. This is hard. For me, I would have picked River just because I know with my eyes closed, River gonna go to bat. Like
Go to bed
she
with a
gonna
bat.
read.
I would've-
She's gonna read the listing agent. We gonna go to war. I ain't even gotta
We ain't
lift a
losing
finger.
no money.
We not losing no
Hello?
money. But that's
Chicago.
for all y'all.
Not Chicago.
Second pick.
That's your answer. What's the
That's no answer.
no,
Okay,
a
that's my
ranking is
answer.
crazy.
It's one.
I was gonna
I
say
didn't even say one.
Nika too for the Nika W experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nika's just
You're
so
making me
extra as a
blush.
person, not even just as a person, but as an agent
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I want to be picked up in a black truck.
Same.
I want breakfast catered at closing.
Same.
Can I choose myself too? Because I do that.
Yeah.
No,
It's
because you're not.
No,
if I was
you're
a
not an
buyer,
agent.
okay,
You're not an
no.
agent.
If I was buying a house, I would get my license and sell my own home.
All right, let's wrap that
Okay.
up. And on that note,
Basically, none of you. I'll work with myself.
So you're gonna interview? You're not gonna pick?
I'm gonna interview.
But you
if I
already
had-
know us though.
Yeah.
You're just a buyer. You already know us.
Okay, I know I'm gonna pick River because I just love River. I love everybody, but like, I know she's. I just know. We know that
you
already.
know that.
Period.
Everybody
We know
gets
that.
it.
Because I will leave that group chat.
I know. Okay.
We know.
I'm gonna pick River.
We know.
I would pick any of y'all. That's a tough question though, for real. Y'all know I'm really
That is
like
a tough.
Yeah.
sentimental. So I don't
Or
know.
what they could do is just ask us to like
Oh,
join a
girl.
team and work with all of us.
Oh
No.
Let's, how we gonna split
Anyway.
that commission?
It don't
'Cause
matter.
You know
Anyway,
me, I want my
y'all,
money.
thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of Real Talk Atlanta. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, share, all the things per usual. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Tune in next week. Bye.
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 Today's topic might be at its end, but the conversation never stops. If you liked what you heard, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
For more daily content from the ladies of Real Talk Atlanta, head over to any of our social media platforms to connect with us and let's talk.
As we put the real in real estate.